talk about happiness? Is it a feeling or is it a skill that you can learn to master so that you can experience happiness no matter what's going on around you? Hi, it's Melanie Benson here. I'm known as America's leading small business optimizer. And this podcast is here to help you replace overwhelm and good enough results with key strategies that help you catapult your success and really allow you to experience the business and the life that you love. And today, I want to help boost your happiness, and not just your happiness that you feel when things are going good, but your ability to create happiness no matter what's going on. And I've invited my dear friend Kristi Ling, who is known as the happiness strategist, to help us with this conversation today. So let me tell you a little bit about Kristi. Kristi is a transformational life and business coach known as a happiness strategist, which I absolutely love that title. And she's author of the upcoming book, Operation Happiness, this 3-step plan to creating a life of lasting joy, abundant energy, and radical bliss. And we'll share this a little bit with you later, but it's available for pre-order. So we'll make sure you know how to get in on all the goodies as part of the launch of this new book. So Kristi, thanks so much for being here today. I've been really excited about having this talk because I've been watching you as you've been going through the writing process and, learning more and more about your story and why this was so important to you. So I've been excited to share you with my community.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I know you've seen me go through a lot from the very beginning when I first was writing the book and all the way to now. So it's been an amazing journey and I'm excited to be here. I was looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. So I think it would be great just to start with a little bit of backstory on why you knew you needed to write this book, Operation Happiness.
Well, there's an interesting backstory to that because when I became very passionate about changing my own life, really early 2000s, all the way up to 2008, when I knew that I hadn't gone far enough because I became very, very sick and I couldn't hardly work for over a year. And during that time, I realized, I think this is my body telling me, I don't need to just change things a little bit. I need to make some drastic changes in my priorities and where my life is going. And at that time, I also became really passionate about sharing the message because I was discovering some things that really worked for me. And I was successful in completely turning around my happiness and my everyday sense of joy and peace and optimism in my life. And I discovered specific key things that worked. And I was like, I need to shout this from the rooftops. So I started to work on a book at that time, and I had put together a proposal and an outline, and I knew that I was called to write a book on happiness and what I had learned. And in the midst of that, my life changed again when I went through a divorce. So during that time, I was like, okay, I'm going to pause this because I'm probably not the person to be writing a book about happiness at this moment in my life. But what I do know is that when I come out of this, my heart will tell me that it's time to pick up and start writing again, and I'll have so much more to share. So during that difficult time, I applied all of those happiness strategies and things that I had learned to help get me through that challenging time in my life. And that showed me once and for all how powerful these things are, these changes in the mindsets and the practices and the habits. And that's when I knew that, yes, I need to catapult forward and write this book. And it really blossomed into the book that I dreamed it could be. So I'm so glad for all the events in my life that led me to where I am now. It's been an incredible journey of hills and valleys and all kinds of wonderful things. So
yeah, I love the hills and the valleys, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
they're always there. So we got to learn how to navigate them without getting taken out of the game. So, you're an evangelist in a way for happiness, but not of the usual sort. It's not like we're not talking about the Pollyanna approach, just like, decide that, everything's happy, but really
Right.
creating a skill to cultivate a strategy
Yes.
to choose happiness. And I would love it if you talk a little bit more about how you got to the recognition that happiness doesn't happen to you, that in a way what you're saying is you have to create it.
Exactly. And that was the biggest turning point for me because because I had struggled with depression and really just a general overall sense of mediocrity in my everyday life, all through my teens and 20s and into my early 30s, like so many people do. It was such a struggle. And I had happy times that would come and go when certain events would happen or an accomplishment would happen. But that everyday sense of joy and peace and positive outlook just wasn't there for me.
Yeah.
And then I really committed to changing it. And I started studying everything I could get my hands on. And what I kept hearing over and over again was happiness is a choice. Just choose it and you can be happy. And I was frustrated because I'm like, but I am choosing happiness and it's not happening yet. What's going on? What am I doing wrong? And, the more I did it and practiced and I weeded out some of the stuff that is just hyperbole and I brought in the things that were really working, the tangible habits and supportive mindsets. And I came across a quote from Aristotle that was like the light bulb going off that really made me realize the missing link to happiness. And the Aristotle quote is, happiness is a state of activity.
Mm.
It's so powerful because I realized when I came across that it's not just a choice. It's not just a feeling. It's not just a state of being, although all of those things play into it. It's actually a skill that we have to practice and do on purpose every single day. And just like learning to play an instrument or learning a new language, we can practice happiness until we get really good at it and it starts to come very naturally to us, just like reading music. And it's life changing.
Yeah, I love this. And I guess I'm reminded of that old adage, do you look at the glass half full or do you look at the glass half empty? And would you say that it's along those lines, or maybe give us an idea of how we can really make happiness an activity that we can master?
That's a great question. And that old, like, is the glass half full or half empty thing, everyone's heard that. And really what it is, it's about, some people are naturally optimistic, which is great. And I happen to be one of those people, but it doesn't mean that I was always happy. Like I said, I struggled for a long time. Optimism is part of happiness for sure. So definitely if you are naturally that way, hold on to that because that's awesome. But if you're not, you can retrain yourself to think optimistically. And no matter what your situation in life, you can retrain your mind to default to the mindsets that support your joy and happiness and positive energy. So for example, if you're, say, a glass half full person some of the time and a glass half empty person some of the time, learning to catch yourself when you're the person focusing on the negative and learning to consciously catch it and then retrain your mind to think, wait a minute, I can look at this in a different way. There's a new way to look at this situation and look at it in a more positive way. When you deliberately do this for a while, you can rewire your brain and you can rewire the way you think to naturally think positive and to naturally see the light in any situation, which can help with problem solving, with happiness levels, with your levels of physical energy, even just the way you look at things. But it takes work and dedication. And this happens through a process called neuroplasticity. Mm-hmm. It's actually science. It's brain science we're talking here, basic brain science. You can look it up and read about how it works. But you don't have to be in a study at a university or be a high-level academic person to apply this to your life. Anyone can take this concept and you can retrain your brain to be more positive, to be more happy, and retrain your default mindsets to support you in your everyday peace and joy. It's very life-changing. It's really amazing stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the brain science piece because I know there's so much value in better understanding how our brains are wired and that you can actually change the way your brain works, how your mind is processing situations. And I want to tie this into the world of entrepreneurism. And I know this can work for anybody, really, like this isn't just for entrepreneurs, but since our audience here is primarily business owners and entrepreneurs, I've actually recently discovered that there's a lot of research showing that entrepreneurs as a group tend to be depressed more than other people. And that's because we face so many problems and challenges and we're isolated most of the time. We don't, unless you run a business where you have employees that show up in your office every day, many of us entrepreneurs are isolated and disconnected and make everything worse. We're usually the kings and queens of our own kingdoms. And, we're kind of at the top tier of our business and we don't have a lot of people we can talk to. So it really creates an interesting dynamic in that we're depressed, we have anxiety issues, we have, there's actually a lot of, um, well, there's a term for the isolation issues, but you get the picture.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of curious in your own, situation and in your life and in the research you did for the book, like how could we apply what you've learned about happiness into the world of uber responsibility and struggle and tension and, responsibility for so much on a day-to-day basis?
I love that you bring this up because it is so very true. And believe it or not, I have always been an entrepreneur myself. And when I really started struggling with depression and feelings of self-disappointment and self-criticism and isolation was when I started my own business back in right around the year 2001. And that's when I really started struggling. And it was when I went to work for myself and started my own business. All of those things came into play. Entrepreneurs put so much pressure on themselves and they set their expectations so high.
Yep.
And, when they're let down, they take it so hard because we're all so passionate about what we're doing. So it really does apply. But there are a few mindset changes that can really help where you can apply some of these concepts. And I've been amazed too, since the word has gotten out that I have this book coming out and about what I do. I've received so many requests to speak to groups of business people. Speaking of speaking, my dog is, I think, trying to tell us something right now. You might be able to hear her in the background.
Chiming in at the perfect time.
She loves to take part. But I've received a lot of requests from groups of entrepreneurs and business owners to come and speak to them about happiness and how they can be happier in their work life and business life. So one of the things that I found is to rethink self-care and happiness as something that's going to support your business and your revenue generating. I always say, think of self-care as a revenue generating activity. And when you rethink it that way, you start to prioritize it higher because one of the things we do as entrepreneurs is we're tempted to get up at 6 a.m. and immediately look at emails on our smartphone, immediately start answering people, immediately drink 3 cups of coffee and dive into the day without having any quiet time, any time for peace, any time to reflect or even set an intention. So the second thing I would say is, especially for entrepreneurs, but anybody with a busy life, is to get a morning practice that you do every day. And it can be something that just takes a minute or two, because I know it's easy to say, well, I don't have time for that because I have kids, or I have, I'm really busy, or I have an hour-long commute to my office, or whatever it is. But there are practices that can be 2 minutes or under that can change the course of your entire day. And I can share one if you like, if we've got the time.
Yeah, please. We've got enough time that I'd love for you to share practice. By the way, I'm really big on morning practices. They can change everything for you.
Absolutely. And some of the biggest entrepreneurs in the world, like Richard Branson and others, you'll hear them talk about how the mornings are so important. And this is one of the messages I really try and spread. Your mornings pave the way for your entire day. And so there's a little practice that I love that I actually created for myself when I was really struggling. And then when I started teaching these things, I started teaching it and people were coming back to me saying, I love this 3 S's that you teach. So I call it the 3 S's, and it can take under a minute. I like to take a couple of minutes to do it. And it's just 3 S's. So the first one is smile. So you have to sit and deliberately smile. Many reasons for this, but the biggest one is that when you smile, you trigger chemical changes in your brain and your body that actually lift your mood and your energy. So you're already setting your body and your mind into a place that is like, oh, I'm in a happy mood right now. And so you're sort of setting a little foundation there. So you smile, and you have to do it for at least 17 seconds. But what I like to do is hold the smile through the second 2 S's. So the second S is say thanks. So super simple. So you're smiling, and then now you're getting into a place of gratitude. And it can be thanks for anything. Thanks for this giant cup of coffee that I need to start my day. Or thanks that I'm waking up feeling really rested today. I'm so grateful that I got a full 8 hours of sleep for a change. Or whatever it is you're thankful for. Thankful for my friends and family. Just focus on gratitude while you're smiling, and do this for 15 to 30 seconds or up to a minute, almost like a mini meditation. And then when you feel the shift in your body, which you will, then you go on to the third S, which is set your intention. And this is such an awesome combination because you're smiling, so you've got your physiological changes happening. You're getting into your place of gratitude, so you've got your mindset in the right place. Now you've got your foundation to be really clear on what your intention is for the day. set your intention is the third one. So it can be, I'm going to have an amazing day. I'm going to get back to all of my new clients and I'm going to sign at least one new client by the end of the day. Or I'm going to book myself one media interview today to help promote my book, or whatever it is. You set your intention and you've got the power of those first two S's behind it. You can do the three S's in under 2 minutes. And this will be in my book. You can also Google Kristi Ling, the three S's, and you'll find it online in a few places. Some media's even picked up on it. It's a great little morning practice and it's real quick.
Yeah, I love it. And but for many of us, quick is of the essence because you convince yourself you don't have time for morning practices. Well, you can't convince yourself you don't have time for this one. It's 2 minutes. You can do it while you're brushing your teeth, even if you had to, right?
Absolutely. Or, I found for me the best time to do it is when I'm laying there in bed and those first thoughts of the day start to come into my mind. And because everybody has a few minutes when you're laying there waking up. And, even when your alarm clock goes off, if you can train your alarm to tell your brain to do the three S's before you get out of bed, that's a great time. Those first thoughts in the morning are powerful. Isn't that great?
Yeah, I often do that. I set my intentions while I'm waking up.
What if achieving higher levels of success was more about changing your thoughts than it was about changing your strategies? Hi, it's Melanie Benson Strick, and I've got a quick resource for you. I want to give you a free copy of my new book, Rewired for Wealth. And inside this book, I'm going to teach you what I personally learned about how my thoughts were either sabotaging or setting me up to create success and put it on autopilot. Now, this book is free for a limited time. You can grab it now at rewiredforwealth.com. Now, let's get back to our program.
So, do you find that some people just don't know they're unhappy because they've been unhappy so long that it's just become their way of life?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And that was me too. And like I mentioned before, that overall sense of everyday mediocrity, I think that's kind of an epidemic. I think it's a really sad one. I think mediocrity is a form of unhappiness that is so widespread and people don't even realizing it. They're just going through the day to day motions without even realizing that they're unhappy.
That's so true. And so if somebody might be in a space of unhappiness and not realize it, are there a couple of maybe signs or indicators that they can become aware of now that might get them to A, get your book today, and B, that might even just bring some awareness to the fact that they could be happier, they could have a richer life?
Yeah, and that's such a great question. And that is something I had to train myself to do. We all have to kind of train ourselves for that. But the biggest tip I would share there is to make a regular practice of taking just a few seconds, even a day, to close your eyes and tune into the energy that you're feeling in your heart. Just ask yourself, like do it like a report card, almost like A, B, C, D, like grade your energy. Like, how am I feeling about my life today? Am I a D? Am I a C? Am I an A? Is there room for improvement? Is the teacher going to check mark could play more with others or whatever it may be? Really tune into the energy that you're feeling about your life and in your heart and in your mind. How positive is it? What could you do? What could you take action on to elevate it if you're feeling like you need to boost it? And if you make that a regular practice, it will create a higher awareness about the overall sense of well-being and the overall sense of how you're feeling about your life so that you can take action. Happiness is a state of activity. Take action to boost it and boost those levels and improve it.
Yeah, and I would even offer that if you find that you're kind of there's all this stuff happening to you that makes you unhappy, or you're noticing a series of patterns and events where things aren't going the way you want, this might be the perfect time to take a step back and say, how could I choose happiness? Again, I know it's cliche, but literally, how could I take more control over what I'm telling myself and how I'm feeling so that I can move through this differently? Because, I am a recovering victimologist, meaning that I thought everything happened to me and I had no responsibility in the world for my feelings and the way things went. And when I started to realize that my state of constant negativity, because I really was very negative for a really long time in my life, that I could actually change my life by just choosing to be more positive and seeing things with a new, fresh set of eyes. The things happening to me stopped.
Yeah.
They weren't as pervasive anymore. And if they started to kick back in, I had to really look at, all right, so what am I telling myself? What patterns am I allowing to exist? So I think a lot of people don't realize how much we can take personal responsibility for, our happiness.
That's so big. It really is. And I write about this in my book too. One of the first things we have to do is be willing to take personal responsibility, because I used to be this way. And a lot of people want to be that person that's like, oh, this is all happening to me and there isn't much I can do about it. And, but that's actually not true. And one of the things that I like to say, which is a great place to begin for anybody who wants to start creating change, is that happiness actually has a lot more to do with what we edit out of our life than what we add into it.
I like that. What we edit out instead of what we add to it. Yes.
Yeah.
I always used to say, like, what you say no to can create more traction than what you say yes to. I love that.
That's it. And it's about careful editing and learning to say no and learning, okay, what do I need to edit out here to create the space for higher level things, higher level thinking, higher level activities, higher level people to come into my life, whatever it is. You're the editor in chief of your life and your happiness. So editing is really a great place to begin, especially for entrepreneurs.
I love that. Yeah, it was explained to me early on in my own training as I was developing my my new mindset that the universe is a vacuum. And if you don't like what's in your space right now, it's not serving you, delete it, as you're saying, get rid of it, create space for what you do want, because you can't get more if you're already full of what you don't want.
That's right.
And so it's such a great reminder. Edit it out. Oh, it's good, Kristi. I'm liking it. So let's take a step back into you and your journey as an entrepreneur, because obviously you mentioned early on that there was a pivotal time for you in realizing your own happiness was changing because of a lot of the responsibilities and things that get put on our shoulders as entrepreneurs. What would you say has been one of the biggest challenges you personally faced, and that, choosing happiness helped you shift?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And everybody's journey is so different, but I think we all have certain things in common. So I know this is one that so many people are going to be able to relate to. So in this regard, one of the biggest shifts for me was learning to put my self-care and my happiness at the number one place on my priority list every day, above my business, above, all else that was calling me, above obligations. Because what I learned is that when I take care of my inner well-being, all of the outer stuff comes with so much more ease. So when I did change the way I was living my mornings to support my health and my happiness so much more, all of a sudden my business increased and I had more clients and I had more speaking engagements and doors started to open for me professionally as a result of taking better care of myself. But it was about finding that being willing to be uncomfortable for a while in putting myself and my balance and my self-care and my happiness at a priority, and being able to say no to things and maybe turning down work projects that maybe were going to pay good money, but they were going to take away from the quality of my joy in my life, and finding that strength. I said no to a few projects that were going to pay really well, but when I learned to balance out my happiness and I received the message that don't take this project, it's going to drive you into the ground and make you really unhappy. And when I said no to it, I felt so empowered and so proud of myself when I had retrained myself to really put my happiness first. So for me, that was one of my biggest challenges as an entrepreneur. And I know that there's people listening right now going, oh yeah, I struggle with that too, but you've got to do it. And I know this is so cliche. It's that oxygen mask thing on the airplane.
Yes.
But it's really true. You've got to take care of your own joy and your own health and your own balance, and everything else will be so much better. Science has shown that happier people are better salespeople. Happier people are 10 to 30% more productive during their workday. They get more done. There's so much more data to go with that. It could be endless. We could talk about it for hours. It really is scientifically proven that if you take care of your happiness and put it first, everything else will be stronger and better.
Well said. And it is so true. And I know from my own experience, when I'm unhappy, I am not productive.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on the couch watching reruns of Law and Order,
Yep. Yeah, with Trader Joe's bonbons. Or
I go for the potato chips. I'm more the salty than the sweet.
Yeah, I love that though. And sometimes too, even still now, and I know you can relate to this, Melanie, don't you sometimes still catch yourself getting up in the morning on a busy day and checking your emails and running around, and then all of a sudden you have to go, oh wait, stop, slow down.
Yeah.
The world is not going to end if I take 5 minutes to, pick out the outfit that I want to wear, or eat something healthy, or drink a green smoothie, or whatever it is. And we have to train ourselves to catch ourselves and snap out of it.
It's habit. I can't believe, and again, I don't do this, so I'm really clear, but I do not wake up and check my phone. I do get on Instagram and I do, but that's after I've gotten up and I've had my tea or my coffee, whatever, and I'm starting my day, and, I do a little interacting, but I don't check emails till I walk into my office. And because for me, Instagram is fun, and checking my email sometimes feels a little scary. I'm like, okay, what do I have to deal with today?
Yeah. What is everybody
program I run? Yes, exactly. So
it's really true. It's really true. And actually, you bring up a good point there, because in this day and age, it is so tempting to check social media in the morning with your coffee and stuff. So what you do, I think, is great, because Instagram and like Pinterest can actually be really soul nurturing and fun, because Instagram is about sharing photos and Pinterest is about sharing creativity. So if you make those the first social media that you check first in the morning, you're going to be exposed to positive images, happy things, not negative stuff and the crazy things you see in the news feeds on Facebook and in email and everything else. So, see what actually makes you feel peaceful and start there and then go into your day. I love that you check Instagram first. I think Instagram is pretty benign when it comes to stress levels.
It's actually inspiring for me. You hit the nail on the head. Like, I love the little images, and I'm always posting positive images as well as you are. I love the images you've been posting, by the way, on Instagram.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's where are you going to get your happy boost? Where are you going to get your inspiration from?
That's it.
So real quick, along this journey of all the things you had to learn, what was it that you figured out? If I optimize this piece of the way I run my business, I can expand my happiness. I can, do more of the things that I enjoy, and also make a greater impact in the process.
Oh, this is a good one, because I have like an answer for this that I'm really excited to share.
Oh, good. I can't wait. I planned ahead.
And you may know about this, and some people listening may, but some may not. I didn't learn this until years into my business. So that's really, for me, it was learning to chunk my time.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yes.
Yeah. So, I used to be one of those go, 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 like do everything as it comes my way, almost like playing a game of whack-a-mole, taking care of stuff, answering emails as they came in. But when I learned to chunk my time, so divide up the day into the things I want to accomplish, and, set aside time to answer emails. But from 9 to 11, I'm going to work on this project with no interruptions. From 11 to 1, I'm going to work on this project with no interruptions. From 1 to 2:30, I'm going to go to yoga and have a bite to eat with no interruptions. And really chunking my time that way. Oh, it was a life changer, both for the way that my business grew and my success in the things I was trying to do came more easily, but also for my soul and my spirit. It felt so great to know what my day ahead looked like without having chaos. And that was so big. And I know Tony Robbins talks about this. Brenda Burchard, I think, talks about this. A lot of the big success coaches and trainers in the world and entrepreneurs talk about learning to chunk your time. And for me, just applying that concept to my life was really changing for my life and my business.
Yeah, me too. I do the same thing, and I have for years. Yeah. And it's, well, first of all, I can also train my team how to book my time without having to micromanage them, because they know where things are supposed to go.
Yeah, which is so helpful. It's so true. So that's it. Just dividing the day up into, applying time so that you can get everything done and you've got time for yourself at the end of it. It's just awesomeness.
Good. I like it. I love that one. I'm so glad you brought it up. Okay. Favorite quote?
Oh my gosh, we talked about this one earlier, I think, and that would be Aristotle's quote.
Okay, so it would be Aristotle.
Activity. Okay. But there are so many that I think are really moving. There's one from Neil Donald Walsh that I have framed on my nightstand, and that is, if you want the best the world has to offer, offer the world your best.
Oh, that's a good, nobody shared that one before. That's a good one.
That's one of my favorites. And it really is the core message of everything we're talking about today. Really.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put yourself in a position to offer the world your best. And you do that through taking care of your happiness and self-care.
I like that. That's a great way to put all that together and recognize that when you are giving yourself the best of you to the world, it actually makes you feel prouder and more valuable because you know you're actually bringing your best self forward.
That's it. That's when you can be a rock star, like what you have in your your office there behind you. Rock star. That's rock star energy.
Yes. That's my daily mantra right there. Be a rock star.
I love it.
And not in the traditional sense, meaning just really bring my energy up and get out there.
What, no karaoke today?
Well, that was lip syncing. Those were lip sync contests. No, I'm not a karaoke fan. That would be me actually singing out loud. It's better if I lip sync. So how can people get the book? I know you've got a really cool thing going on right now where you're in pre-order before the book actually comes out, and you've got some really awesome gifts that are coming out with it. Can you share where we can get the book now?
Yeah, absolutely. So just come to my website, which is kristiling.com, and you will not be able to miss it. It's going to be right there. It'll bring you right through to the page where you can pre-order the book, and you're going to get tons of free gifts and offers to go with it. You'll be invited to my virtual book launch party and just tons and tons of free gifts. It's like a party. Click through there and see the party. You'll be able to click through and pre-order the book. The book comes out March 1st. And I know it's going to be here before I know it. I'm super excited to be geared up for it. And the pre-orders now are happening. And yep, so kristiling.com, you'll find everything you need.
Cool. Thank you, Kristi. And I'm truly grateful that you stepped up into the calling to help people learn how to create happiness. And I'm not even going to say choose happiness because it's really creating it. Mm-hmm. And, you have such a gift with this message, and you really are truly one of the happiest people I know. Right. I mean, not that you always have to be happy because, you're my friend. You can have your down days and I still got your back. But, just the fact that, you are truly an inspiration to be around because that energy is contagious. And the more you help people really be able to create that in themselves, I truly feel like we can make a small dent in the world's happiness by taking responsibility for being happy ourselves. So it's a gift you're giving us.
I love that. Thank you so much. I can't wait to share it with everybody.
Yeah. And as you're listening in today, I'd really like for you to check in. Where are you at in your happiness scale? And could you benefit from really like learning how to create more happiness inside of yourself? Or maybe there's someone in your life that could use that gift. Yeah. It's right before Christmas, right before the holidays, all kinds of special occasions coming up. Maybe go grab a few books and share them with your friends. We've got the link right here on the screen, and you can also find it on the show page on melaniebensonstrick.com. You can just type in Kristi Ling happiness and, give yourself the gift, give your friends the gift. I'd love to support Kristi in making an even bigger ripple effect on the planet by all of us getting those books and giving them out as gifts this year. So we'll look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, create happiness in your mornings following Kristi's process, and let us know how it goes in the comments below. Bye, everybody. Bye, Kristi. Thanks.
Bye. Thank you so much.